Howdy folks, and welcome to How Do I on Photoshop Basics. On today's episode we'll be learning about the lasso tool and the marquee tool. I'm just going to sneak in here, that was rude, sorry. But this is actually going to be a two-part episode. In this first video we're just going to be looking at the marquee tool. So without further ado, let's get started. And that was my line. Here we are in Photoshop. I've got another nice image from Pexel. The first tool we're going to speak about or learn about today is the rectangle marquee tool. So this is located just below the move tool on the left hand bar here, and I just want you to click on it once and that will select it. And then very simply, to use this tool, you're going to click on your workspace or on your image and just drag the selection. Now note, you can drag this in any way you want and it will normally either make a square or a rectangle. So I'm going to carefully make a rectangle on this page here, like so. Which is great. Now, one of the fun things you can do with this is once you've made your selection, you can move it. Now, please note, you see how my mouse icon has changed? So if I move off the selection, it becomes a crosshair. And if I move on the selection, it becomes a white arrow with a box around it. And when I depress or click my mouse, it means I can move the selection around the page, which could be really handy, especially if you're off. So if you made a rectangle up here, and go, oh, I really wish I'd done that on the page. You can just ever so slightly move it around, which is going to be really handy, really handy. The next thing I'd like to teach you is actually how to get rid of this, because sometimes you'd be like, I've made a complete mistake. How do I get rid of it? Two ways to do this. You can press Control D on the keyboard. That deselects everything. I'm going to make it again. Or you see how the mouse icon inside is the white mouse icon with the rectangle? If you move outside where it's got the little crosshair, and if you just click normally, it will go away. The third way you can deselect it is if you come up here to View, Select, and just click on the Deselect. You can see here it's Control D as well. That's great. Now let's say you wanted to make a perfect square. To do that, we're going to use some of the keyboards again. So you'd want to click with the mouse. Now, if you hold down Shift, it will fix the selection to only stretch out in a square motion, which is going to be really, really handy. And that is, as I said, Shift. And if you're happy with the shape, all you need to do is just let go of the mouse button and Shift. And there we go. Got a nice, perfect square shape. However, let's say you don't want a square shape, maybe you want a circle shape. If you come back to this tool and hold down the left click button, you'll notice a new menu pops up. And on there, we've got more options. So we're going to click on the elliptical marquee tool, which is the second one down. And we're going to do the same. So I'm going to click and drag. And as you can see, I can make me a nice circular shape. Now let's say again, I want to make a perfect circle, so I'm going to press Control D to remove it, and I'm going to click with the mouse button, hold down Shift, and now I can make a perfect circle shape. I can move that around the page as I want. I'm just going to click off. You might have noticed another tools here, which is the single row marquee tool and the single column. They do exactly as they say. It makes a single pixel line from one side of the page to the other, and the column one does the exact same. Note how the previous selection goes away. So I've made this selection here, and if I come over here to make a new selection, the other one that was here has vanished. This is because of these four buttons up here. Currently, we've got new selection selected. What that means is anytime we drop and drag our mouse, we make a new selection. So let's say I click here and go, oh, bugger, I really wanted to use the other side of that page as well. If I come up here and just click on this next one along, wait for it, there we go, add to selection. What that will do is it will allow us to add to an existing selection. Note how the mouse icon has a little plus next to the crosshair now? So I'm going to click here and add to it. There we go, we've added to the selection, and we can make extra selections as quickly or as little as we want. So Let's do a bit of that. But oh no, you've gone too far. How on earth are you going to remove all these extra spaces? Well, it's quite simple. We go to the third one along, the subtract from selection, does what this one says on the tin, and it will remove selections you've selected. So notice the size of the area. Anything in this square or rectangle will be removed from the current selection. So I'm going to go ahead and fix all my mistakes. So I'll come down here and do that. Come down here and do that. Very nice. And let's say for this last one, I only really wanted the line of this pencil. This one is the intersect with selection. So what this means is if I was to make these two selections, it would calculate of the two selections where the sections intersect and only keep that part of the selection. So if I let go of the mouse, there we go. It's only copied the bits where the two selections intersected, which gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, there are some nice keyboard shortcuts you can use to make this go a little bit quicker as well. So I'm going to make this a nice big rectangle there. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and you see how that makes a little plus? So now if I hold down Shift and make a selection, it adds to it. You can tell that because it's got the little plus next to it. If I hold down Alt, notice a little minus next to the crosshair. That means it's going to deselect areas where I make a selection. So it's going to cut them out, as I would say. Finally, for this tool, if you wanted to make very precise shapes or ratios, I'm just going to deselect this, you can come up to this style tool here whilst you've got the marquee tool selected and it's on any one of these, and go ratio of fixed size. So I'm going to go a ratio. So at the minute it's 1:1. So no matter what I do with my mouse, it will always be a 1:1 ratio. That means it's going to be 1 high, 1 wide. So if I was to switch to maybe 3 high, there we go. So the ratio will always be 1 wide to 3 high when it's the fixed ratio. I'm going to press Ctrl D again. And when we go fixed size, at the minute it's 64 pixels by 64. So no matter what I do and move, you can see it's quite small. Let's bump this up to maybe 300 pixels to 300 pixels. Now if I was to select, it's always going to make a selection of 300 pixels by 300 pixels. They don't need to be the same. If I make this, let's double that and go 600 and now drag, there we go. And drag this around the page and just click and click. And if you want to add to the selection, we can add it to as well. Just in case you were curious, we can remove the selections. And of course, we can intersect the selections. This has been How Do I on Photoshop Basics. If you found this video helpful, give it a like because it really does mean a lot to me. And for part 2, saunter over that way to learn a bit more.